Welcome to Footy Talk Monday edition. No Emma Lawrence here. Michael Chammas with you. Gorden Tallis. Gordy, do you know who I am? I hear you get me and Michael Carianis confused all the time.
No, listen, it was Magic Round, and I called Carianis Chammas in front of like all the media, and I think the boys have carried that on. Probably, especially Peabody Reedy, because he likes sort of stabbing people in the back. Brent Reed, so that's where it sort of come from. But I did get mixed up a couple of times. But not the faces, right? See, so I'm a face man. I never forget a face.
Can you drop a Chammas on 360 when he's on there, mate, just to stir the pot a little bit? No, you can't mention Channel 9
listen,
people,
because
can
I did last week, like when we're having,
on air.
No,
Oh dear.
when we were having our chicken before the show, the chicken and chips, which I should lay off the chips, by the way. But yeah, anyway, thanks for bringing that up. That's a good way to start.
Let's get to some footy, Gordy. Big weekend ahead. Your Broncos, they are minor premiership bound at the moment.
Yes.
There's a few injuries, a few concerns. What do you think? Do they wrap it up this weekend?
I think they do. Obviously, they play the Melbourne Storm. I think it's Thursday night. So I do have Brisbane winning that. I just think that they've got a bit more. Storm are getting better. Like we watched Pappenhausen run on the other day. Just quick play of the balls. There's no doubt that it's another string to their bow where they want to just speed up the ruck a bit. Like when Papo comes on, they just keep on going through the middle and then try to wear out people. Or then he'll come on when they've got the momentum. But I just think I think Brisbane they've worked really hard for this. Like they were the wooden spooners a few years ago, and Melbourne, well, they're going to be in the top four, aren't they? So it's a funny one. I'm not sure about the minor premiership. I'm not sure how hard you go for it. I don't think Adam Reynolds will come back and play if his calf's not right. Carrigan, it looks like that he's not going to be back until week one of the finals. So, but I just think Brisbane might be too good. It's just Reese Walsh. Reese Walsh. He's playing on another level, a bit like Kalyn Ponga yesterday. Just when they touch the ball, just everything happens around them. So I think that Brisbane might just be a little bit too classy. And when I say too classy, I think it just comes down to Reese Walsh. But it's a great challenge because I know Craig Bellamy will want to stop him because this might be Thursday night and the first week of the finals. I reckon they might play again.
So did you care as a player about the minor premiership? Did it mean anything to you? I think it's $200,000 the prize money, which is not much split across the players. Did it actually mean something?
I don't think I ever won it.
Yeah.
Or if I did, I didn't get any
about it.
I didn't get any ching for it. No. It doesn't mean anything to me. I know it sounds funny, and it should. Winning the grand final is the biggest prize, and yes, I think it's a bonus, right? I think it's the icing on, I think it's the condiment on the steaks, right? Yeah. So, mate, getting the big, rump cap and having a few mustards. I reckon the minor premierships are mustard. I can still enjoy the steak without them. Speaking
of the big rump steak, what do you think? You mentioned Reese Walsh, Joey Tarpanay cleaned him, took him out.
I loved it.
You're okay with it?
Play to the whistle. And that's the only time he's ever going to get him.
Yeah.
Mate, but he's a tough little kid.
Yeah.
So on the Gold Coast around State of Origin time, he had his mate called Vegas or whatever, and they knocked up together. So it's fair to say they've had a few scraps and mucked around as a footy player that played on the Gold Coast with him. He's a tough little kid, and I remember in Origin that New South Wales said that they were going to bash him, and that can go either way, right?
Yeah, and he's talked a big game and he's backed it up.
And he just said, well, bring it on. And then that's Tarpanay, right? A big body. He's 6'4", hits him. He's standing there, knocked him over. He just bounced up. He's a tough kid, but that is fair game. I know it's unnecessary, but it's fair. Because if I'm a big guy, I'm doing exactly the same thing because he goes, I'm going to chase him. And then when he's standing there, it's like the deer in headlights.
So if you were on the Broncos team, though, if you were on the Broncos team and someone did that to your little fullback, the eyes would have been in the back of the head, surely.
Nah, well, you know what? It was fair. It was clean shot. It wasn't a head eye. No.
Respect.
Look, today, yeah, so that did happen in my era. You know what I mean? And then, it was a lot of ribs, and it was Les Davison hitting or an Ian Roberts coming out at the team, and, and then there were some brutal guys that would, try to get you, playmakers like that. But if it's not dirty, it's fair game. And that wasn't a dirty shot, right? Reese Walsh just stopped running. So what is he supposed to do? Just go touch him, and then Reese Walsh takes off and then chips and chases and does something like that. So I thought it was fair game.
From one little guy to another, you mentioned Ryan Papenhuyzen, the Storm. What do they do with him? Is that the role for the rest of the year? Just come off the bench?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Mate, I think Meany's done a really good job. Like I think that their spine's working, but now with Hughes out, like that's the big question now, right? Who comes in? But they got Peasant there, so I think having a bit of X factor off the bench. I think that's where Melbourne's always had it. You know what I mean? Like, then everybody's always talked about the starters, but when they had, Cameron, Billy, Cooper Cronk, well, then a young Munster would come off a bench, or a Nico Hines or a Papenhuyzen, and they've always had just something else. And I think Papenhuyzen coming off the bench is the play for the rest of the year. I wouldn't move Meany. I think it works.
What about if you look at the games this weekend? So many of the finals fixtures hinge on the results this weekend. Warriors, if they lose, they can drop to obviously they can go to third, and the Storm obviously can. That game on Thursday night will determine what everyone else does. Do you like the fact that we're set up here in the final round?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it, right? So I got Brisbane playing Storm. So I think Brisbane win this week, right? So against the Storm. I got Manly beating Tigers, but that's in the Who Cares Cup, right?
Yeah.
So Souths and Roosters. I got Souths winning. I got the Warriors beating the Dolphins. Like they were, what was it? It could have been a blowout the other day, but I think in the second half it might have been 10-all or 16-10 or something like that. So like they had a crack in the second half, but it's hard when they've got nothing to play for. I got the Panthers beating the Cowboys.
Regardless of who plays? Because Penrith are looking at Thursday night's game, Broncos Storm, and if the Broncos wrap up the minor premiership, the Storm, the Panthers aren't playing for anything but second spot. They can't move, and I've been told that Dylan Edwards, Isaiah Yeo, maybe Liam Martin, they won't play, which therefore has ramifications for the Roosters. If they get through, they're hoping that the Cowboys don't win. So there's going to be some things that happen in the background. They're going to determine the finals series. I just think the Cowboys game is so crucial, and what Penrith team is going to decide the makeup of the finals.
So you reckon it just hinges on Thursday night? So what if Storm go, do you know what? We're happy to finish fourth.
Yeah. Well, then I think the Panthers will rest players because then they will finish second, regardless of that result against the Cowboys, which means...
Because right now it doesn't matter, Storm, so they can't jump out of fourth, can they?
The Storm can't fall out of the four, no.
Then I think they're going to finish fourth or third. It doesn't really matter where they go, do they?
No.
So they either go to Penrith or they go to Brisbane. You toss a coin there.
Yeah. What about the Knights? They secured a home final.
Mate, they beat the Dragons, don't they, at Netstrata Jubilee?
Yeah, they'll finish where they are, I think, in fifth spot right now.
What a turnaround.
Incredible. 8 in a row now. It's 2009-esque for me, from Parramatta. That run from Jarred Hayne, Kalyn Ponga's sort of gone on a similar run. They've been incredible, Newcastle.
I just love that they beat Joey's record. So now the 8th. Can't tell everybody that he's the 8th because they've won 8th. So Ponga might have a bit. No, do you know what? It's amazing. So we went there for the M's a couple of weeks ago, and it was one of my favourite days. Like, you walk in the crowd, and I'm playing South, so you saw that famous jersey walk in and the red and blue, and it was just one of those days where you walk in a rugby league ground and you felt special. You know what I mean? So the players, Newcastle lived up to that, even though they wore the orange working jerseys that day. And apparently, like, they don't always play that good in that jersey. It's a bit of an omen, but they were outstanding. But you think in week one of the finals, that's going to happen again. Well,
it's going to be likely without Kalyn Ponga. It's that injury. He had scans this morning. We haven't got the results as we talk right now. But there are concerns that he's going to face 2 to 4 weeks out of the game with that AC joint injury.
No.
Are they gone?
No, it's not 2 to 4 weeks.
You think he'll be back earlier?
Yeah, it's an AC joint.
He'll play, week one of the finals?
Yeah. Mate, you need all that.
Well, from speaking to people at Newcastle last night, they said if he's going to play in the finals, it'll be with a lot of painkillers because he was in all sorts last night. Yeah, well, not a lot because they'll just hit the spot, right? Yeah.
You know, and it's not a weight-bearing injury, right? And it'll be a pain thing. And I've done my AC joint. Yes, it does. He's not going to make He's not going to make 30-odd tackles in the middle, right? So, like, if it was a bloke like Cameron Smith and you need it and you're passing a lot and you're on the ground, you're packing in scrums, you're doing, I know in the grand final he did 70-odd tackles. I think the Sharks made him do, just to try to wear him out. That's not going to happen to Kalyn. He's at the back. And just as long, and if they hit him late, there should be penalties.
Yeah. So 60,
and then I'd be saying,
70% is Kalyn Ponga plays if he's 60, 70%. Doesn't matter.
Well, once he gets a needle, he's 100%.
Yeah.
And you can't do more damage.
Well, the thing is they've got cover there. They've got cover in those positions. I guess they have played.
Listen. No one covers him.
No, but the thing is, if he gets injured mid-game, then what? What do they do? Like if they take the risk with him, they run the gauntlet with Kalyn Ponga underdone in the middle of a finals game and he comes off after 12 minutes.
Mate, that's what you take. Mate, that's the risk you take. What happens if Nathan Cleary pulls his hamstring again?
Yeah.
Like, see, they're like ifs, but, mate, once you take the field and it's up here, it's fine. I'm not convinced that I think they're trying to take a bit of pressure off themselves now. This is the gamesmanship from the Knights. Kalyn Ponga will play and he won't have a problem with it. Yes, the night after sleeping, yes, he's got a lot of it. Because like we've all done that where you sit there and you go, oh, man, and you play with rib cartilage are the worst, right? And you play with them and they try to needle them and they don't always get them because it's such a moving, because you use it like your ribs so many times. But up here, I think it'd be fine, myself personally.
The Knights are on the way up,
Tallis?
right?
The Knights are on the way.
The slippery slope, though, the Raiders, they're on the way down. Do you think they miss the 8? That's the last game of the round. If they lose to the Sharks...
Well, I think they do, don't you?
Yeah, I think they miss the 8. Yeah.
So I think, because they were sitting there, say, with 5 weeks to go, they were in the box seat, but they always, historically, through the origin period, they sort of come through that all right. And like when you say the origin period, it's not the origin period, it's the real cold nights in Canberra. So, mate, when you go to Canberra, being a Queenslander, what is it? You walk around in the middle of winter, it's 20 degrees. You go there, it's 2. There's an 18-degree swing.
Mm.
No other team has that. And the Raiders have that. And then they train and so then they're used to it. And then we don't send people. And then this is where I think it's a bit unfair. Because if you're the North Queensland Cowboys and I'm watching the NFL, I watch it all the time. You got to play in the snow or you got to play wherever. They should be made to go play in North Queensland in the heat. Oh, no, it's too hot for our boys. No, it's too cold for a Townsvillian, right, who I am, up there when it's 26 degrees in the middle of winter. And you go there and you're playing in 2. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
But people go, oh, yeah, well, it's cold. Well, doesn't matter. So I think that's the home ground advantage. I think if you want to be a national sport, and that's where the Raiders got a lot of their wins in those situations. And it's always a tough place to play in Canberra.
Yeah.
But in the middle of winter, on a really cold night, and I tell you what you do. So you sit in your hotel, it's warm. You sit in the bus, the heating's on, and you get to the game. And the Raiders would somehow just turn your heat up, so it's about 25, and then you run out, and it's even more of a shock.
Is that true? There's a myth that's been around that they warm the air conditioning in the away dressing room.
Well, then they don't turn it on in their own. So when we walk in, we like it.
Yeah.
Right? So we don't know any difference. So you got to walk in and it's cold, and you take your jacket off so you're not shocked when you run out. So when you run out, you go, oh, Jesus, And then
it takes a little while to adjust.
And then you come back in at half time. And then you get all the sweat start, and then you run back out at after half time, and it's even worse. So, but you know what? I don't think the Raiders can, right, because of who they are and the quality of players that they've got. But I just think the way the Sharks have sort of bounced back, like they had a real slump, didn't they, right in the middle of the year, and Nico through that whole origin, and there was so much talk about what was going on, but they've seemed to turn it around. They've got a bit of mojo back. They're starting to fight up. And then the Sharks have been one of those sides that, fight over a bone and it doesn't mean too much meat on it. So that's what the Raiders need to do if they want to beat them.
Is there a little bit of false reality around the Raiders? They're minus 119 differential.
Yeah. Well, that's right.
You never see that for a top 8 team.
No. And that's probably why you think the Sharks are going to win that game.
Yeah.
For
Friday night,
that reason.
The blockbuster. Roosters, Rabbits, and the Roosters, even if they do win, they're not guaranteed a top 8 spot, because if the Cowboys then go and win against the Panthers on Saturday night, the Roosters miss out altogether. How do you see it playing out around the Roosters and the Rabbits?
Well, so no Jarred.
No Jarred.
What about Teddy?
Manu. Teddy's back. Teddy's back from that concussion. He's the 11-day protocols. Joey Manu, having spoken to the club, had a scan yesterday. It was only a low-grade strain of the hamstring. They're going to name him tomorrow. 6 day. They're going to name him. 6-day turnaround, give him every chance to play.
See, now, I think that's the opposite to Kalyn Ponga. They're saying he's going to play.
And he won't.
A hamstring, right, is totally different. So this is my theory on hamstrings, right?
Mm.
When I was playing, and if one of our fast guys, because you can't pull cellulite, right? So I never pulled anything, right? So I wasn't fast enough to pull any muscle. But all our good players, that when they did, they were ready and they were flying on the field, and you'd look over and you got a bit of a, hey, they're back. They'd give them another week.
Yeah.
They always give them another week. They've always got to be flying, ready to play, and they have the luxury of another week, because that's when they know that, because it's the mental part of it, right? So if he's laying on the table all week, he won't hit full stride.
But if their season's on, they don't have the luxury of another week, Gordy. Their season is over, and if they miss the 8, it's a failure
He's
anyway.
More chance of, he's more chance of warming up and doing it in the warm-up.
They'd rather him do that than actually do it 2 minutes into the game, wouldn't you? Because
well, there you go. So, no. So what you got to do is you got to test him on Friday, or you got to test him on Thursday.
Run and make a decision there.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that he's likely. So there's the ducks and the drakes, right? Because I think that they name him, right? Or the other way, you say, no, he's definitely out if he's going to play, right? No, he's out, he can't play. And they go, mate, it's nothing wrong with it. He just got tired. It was cramp.
Yeah.
He's right.
It didn't look like cramp, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, mate. And yeah, see, so I'd imagine that he's not going to play. And if he does, it's an amazing turnaround.
What about the Bunnies? How do they bounce back from the week?
Well, they look at themselves. Well, mate, they've got to look at themselves. They're not getting beaten on ability. Mm. When was the last time they got beaten on ability?
Well, there's enough ability there to win a premiership.
Yeah, well, there you go. So that's all they got to look at themselves.
The outside noise, you've been involved in clubs where there's been so much outside noise. Does it affect the group?
Not like that.
No.
Not like that. Not like that. Not with someone like Sam Burgess getting moved on. Not like Alan Langer getting moved on.
Yeah. Do you think it'll have an effect on the players?
I think there's no more excuses for them now.
Yeah.
I think everything's out in the open, isn't it?
Well, no.
So you got a bloke that is the culture of that is a standard. I work with Sam. I was there before he arrived. I was there after, and I watched him train. I watched him drag everybody up with him. And people will say, "Oh no, mate, I watched it." There was no one that drove a standard like Sam. He just hated not training well. He hated the boys not, preparing the best they possibly could do. So when they went out there on the weekend, it wasn't about winning or losing. It was about preparing properly, so they gave themselves the best opportunity. So now that's not there, and maybe Sam, is still a little bit of still emotional and can't deliver it the way he was, but how intelligent he is and what he's done for that club, I would listen to him.
Well, the misconception.
And I've asked a couple of really big coaches.
Yeah.
Like one by the name of Wayne Bennett. Would that happen? He goes, no way. He's there every day of the week. Yeah. So I've asked. So I spent all Friday with Wayne. Spoke to him again. So like with someone with that much experience, right? And when I was working at South, Johnny Lane was one of those guys where he was second to Wayne Bennett, and some of the players weren't having a go. And I was flying to Sydney, and then I saw him, and I said, Johnny, can I have a word to the players? He said, absolutely. And I went off my tits, like as if I was captain, right?
Yeah.
Just, this is what's happening, blah, 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 blah. Right? And I got really filthy. They either take it or they don't.
So the situation with Sam...
So the blokes that think that Sam's talking too hard aren't ready to play footy.
And that's what Sam believes. They're not ready to win a premiership because they're not in the right frame of mind. But
I'm on that side. So if Sam Burgess comes to me and says, have a go, do that, I'll go, yes.
So if you're the club right now, and Sam Burgess, which he has, he's raised concerns about the development of the team under Jason Demetria, that things aren't going the way they should. So which way do you go? As a club, do you go with the assistant coach who's raised concerns, or the coach who's saying there's no issue? It's a bit of a difficult situation for the club. And it resulted in Sam saying, okay, if you don't like what I have to say, I'm out of here.
Look, Sam had somewhere else to go, right?
Yeah.
It would have been bigger if Sam had nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
So Sam's gone, hey, listen, I don't agree with this, right? I'd be doing it this way. He's the coach. So Sam respects that because at the end of the day, it's Jason Demetrio's team, right? So he lives and dies by what he wants to do. If he doesn't believe that Sam's the right person for the job, he doesn't believe Sam's the right person for the job. And Sam went, listen, so we don't butt heads, so I'm not a distraction, right? And you think that I'm leaking and doing all that, I will leave and you can, good luck for the rest of the year. Is that how it sort of panned out?
Yeah.
In a nutshell?
Yeah.
So Sam's a big man and goes, hey, listen, I don't agree with it. Fine. Instead of button heads at training and keep on pushing guys and them not responding and him, losing it, I think it's a big step from Sam.
Huge.
But now everybody knows. From him walking away and his silence, everybody knows.
Well, now the pressure's on the players to actually prove that he was wrong. And Latrell won't even get the chance to do so.
And Jason Demetrio's gone, well, I believe in the players. So now the players have to repay Jason. Otherwise, there's egg on Jason's face, and Jason will have to do what Sam wanted him to do.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how they come back from it all. One thing that you touched on was Waerea-Hargreaves, 6-week suspension. He won't be there for that game.
What was he thinking?
Has he let the Roosters... Like they've
he
given
was
him
supposed
another
to do
year.
that this week. He was supposed to do that this Friday night. What are you doing,
That was the
Jarred?
fear that
it
against
was
the
a week
Rabbitohs
early.
he would lose his head, but he's lost his head a week earlier than we all thought, and the club's repaid him with a 1-year extension. He's going to miss a few games next year by the looks of it. We know the drama his extension caused with Matt Lodge getting the shits about him not being a deal that he thought was going to be honoured, not honoured to keep him at the club, and now Jarred's out of a big game. What do you think of the incident?
Yeah, look, I love Jarred. I love the way he plays. He just had a brain explosion. It wasn't even going to hurt him. Appy Coruscant kicked the ball. The play's gone. The play's gone. Like, it was clumsy. It was reckless. It was clumsy. It was stupid.
Yeah.
I like when he goes hard at someone and they slip and they miss and he slips up and he gets them. I can live with that. I can't live with that one. So I think he did let the Roosters down. And then he knows that. Yeah, I mean, because he's one of those guys, but you need those guys in your team. Like, you need those, mate, to win a comp and, and when the young kids are around, you need, the big older guy around the playground to make sure that you're looked after.
They also
in case the bullies go mad.
They need him on the field more than they need an enforcer, don't they? It's at this point of the season after what he's been through.
And then that's a disappointing thing, right? Because as a fan, you wanted, like, it was building, right? And after working at South, I actually said to him, and I still remember when I saw him, I wish everybody that you played against wore Roosters jerseys.
Yeah.
Because they're a different beast, South, this week. They're training. Everything is a different beast. I'm pretty sure it's the same for the Roosters. Yeah. It's a different beast. Everybody's talking. It's a bit like an Origin, right? Because everybody lives next door. Everybody has a say. I'm not even at the club, and and I'm licking my lips at what's going to happen, right? It's massive, this game. But Jarred, unfortunately, has and he has. And it's not the first time that he's let him down, but it was stupidity. It wasn't in a big moment. It wasn't like, the game where everybody was getting sent to the sin bin. This was a game and it was silly. It was against the Tigers. Yeah. And you had bigger fish to fry.
And you were winning. The game
and
was
you
in
were
the
winning.
Balance. Yeah.
And you didn't need to come up with a play. You didn't need to come up to inspire your teammates. That's the part that I get disappointed. Like, what were you thinking? Yeah. What were you thinking? But sometimes the big boys, they don't think, which is a good thing.
No, and he may have cost himself a spot on that plane to Las Vegas as well. But when you come back, we'll head a bit further out west.
He did cost himself a flight.
Well, he might not. I'll explain to you after the break. He may not have quite cost himself a spot to Vegas.
Oh, what? So Roosters are going to go all the way to the finals?
Jarred, he might be flying business class to Las Vegas next year. And,
how?
Well, if they don't have to win many games, let's just say they get through to the finals. If they get through to the finals, under the NRL rules, they will count. Well, that's 2 games. He'll miss this week's game against the Rabbits, and then they make the finals. He'll miss that. That's 2.
Yep.
Under the NRL rules, if the New Zealand Rugby League send documentation to the governing body saying that we would have picked Jarred Warea Hargreaves, then those games will count. So there's potentially 3 games there. 3 games.
One,
if they,
two,
they got
3.
2 games. They make the final. That's 3. Then the All-Stars
That's
game.
5.
The All-Stars game counts as a representative game.
Which one?
The New Zealand Maori All-Stars against the Indigenous All-Stars. It's going to be played in the first week of February next year, from my understanding, well before they head off to America. That could be the 6th game, meaning...
Well, so you've just put the loophole out there where the NRL goes, no, that doesn't happen.
No, it will happen because there's precedent. They allowed Latrell Mitchell to count the All-Stars game in a previous suspension. I think it was the Joey Manu incident a couple of years ago where he copped a lengthy ban, and the All-Stars game counted towards that ban. So Jarred Warea Hargreaves maybe is heading to Las Vegas. They just have to win this weekend.
Are you working at the Roosters?
I'm just telling you what some people who may or may not work at the Roosters are thinking. Do you like it?
I don't.
Well, you think they shouldn't count? Rep games shouldn't count?
Well, because I went through it when it was TBA, Lottie Takiri, State of Origin. No one likes it, right? At the end of the day, no one likes it.
To be fair, though, he probably gets picked for New Zealand at the end of the year.
Does he? Over the Bromwiches and all those?
Well, those guys will be. He was there at the World Cup last year.
There you go. So, so I think, do you know what? It is a fair argument. But
maybe not the All-Stars
do you know what
game?
I don't think? But do you know what? I don't think the Roosters win this, so I think he's 1 game off.
They'll try and find some sort of loophole.
Well, there's no, because the loophole is the Roosters winning. So it was really good. They had to win this week for him to play.
So if I ever come back on this show, and Jarred Warea Hargreaves...
Hey, hold on. I'm thinking about whether you're coming back on this show, right?
Hey, we haven't finished the game yet.
Let
me kick the field goal to win the game at the end before you decide whether I can come back or not.
But then if we take 1 game off, that's only 5. And if he gets 6 rounds, he's not there.
No. Do you take him to Vegas anyway? Team morale?
Oh, yeah.
Or you're wasting a seat on the plane?
Do you know what? I'd like to have a beer with him.
Okay.
I'd like to have a beer with him and just ask him, what was he thinking? The conversation might be really quick. I don't know. And he just shrugs. Or he could just shrug his shoulders and he goes, I don't know.
On a side note, I know you probably touched on that. Are we asking for trouble in Vegas for 5 days and these players probably not going to be allowed out to do anything? Do you think?
No, I've been there about 6 or 8 times. There's a lot of things to do in Vegas, right? See, so I go there. I'm not a gambler. There's great golf courses, right? There's really good shows. And I think a lot of them are going to be based in LA anyway. Yeah,
they're planning on spending some time there for sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So mate, for me, if I was playing in the game, and I'm a bit older, and I had young kids, I would be getting them with us, and if we're based in LA or whatever, and I'd be spending time with my family and taking them to shows and doing all that. All right. And doing, you know what I mean? Because that's what I'd be doing.
Are you doing an hour 360 from Vegas or what?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah?
And I think Triple M are going as well. So because Dan will be there, Hoops will be there for Fox. So there's 3 of us that will cover both. I'm just not sure whether Dobbin and a couple of the others will be on the plane, blokes that aren't, don't have many jobs.
Reserve graders is what you're telling me. The reserve graders.
That's what we call them, fringe players. You know what I mean?
Where do I sit in this category?
Well, no, mate. I
flag?
see you on. No. I see you on 100% footy. I see you around, but I see your head on the TV. So you can go for both, right?
Yeah.
So
double dip. I like it.
There you go.
Who do you think's more likely to send you business class, Triple M or Fox? Because I don't know who's paying for your flights.
Well, why don't they just split the bill and I go first class?
I like where your head's at. I'll be lucky to get a seat, mate. I'll be standing for the flight over there. Do they offer standing tickets these days?
No, because they tell you to sit down. Because do you know how they have that little bar up there?
I don't know. I've never been anywhere near a bar on a plane.
Oh, no, yeah. See, some of them have these bars. Yeah. So cool.
I sit with the paupers, mate.
No, I sit with the paupers, but I pretend to go to the toilet and I miss the toilet. And I say, what's your seat? I said, my ticket's in there. And you point up the front and they don't know. And you sit up at the business class or the first class bar.
I hope you drop
And then they realise after 2 drinks that I'm not up there because I've got my thongs on and I don't have the Qantas jammies or the special jammers that they give you.
There's more chance of a media atrocity than a player atrocity, I think.
Yeah, mate, the players, no, look, the players are better behaved than they've ever been. Mate, I tell you what, if you ask, when was it, 87 or whatever, when Queensland and New South Wales went over there, if cameras were around then, there would be
I
never,
can
mate, there'd never be another trip to America.
Well, I hope I do see you again, Gordy. It's been a pleasure, mate.
Mate, we will, and look forward to watching 100% footy.
And I look forward
and stand
to
up
watching
the Gus.
NRL
Mate, can you stand up
360.
the Gus, mate? Don't let Gus walk all over you.
I haven't done enough of that.
Hey?
Mate, last time I did that, I ended up getting abused for a fight that I didn't even start.
I know. I was cringing. I was thinking, Gus. But, you know, I'm glad, mate, because, he sort of bullies everybody, Gus.
That's all right.
He'd be hard to beat.
It's all right. There's got to be a bully in every team, as you said, Gordy.
There you go. He's the Jarred Warea Hargreaves, you reckon, in the media.
That's right. Well, as long as
We all
I
walk around on eggshells around here.
pleasure, mate. Good luck, and we'll see you. Well, I won't, and we'll see you next Monday.